Yay Networks.
Welcome to a brand new episode of the Fitish podcast. I don't know what Friend's up to right now, but I see him Google imaging on his phone, so I have a feeling a big joke's about to come up with my appearance or something like that.
I have no idea what you're talking about. Welcome, everybody.
Welcome to the show.
Feisty from the get-go.
I am not, and I know why you're saying that. You're trying to lead us in. You're trying to set the stage as an explanation.
No, I have no idea.
Last evening, I got into an altercation with an elderly woman.
Yeah, she
It happened, okay? It happened.
Her mama bear claws came out.
I think you should have had my back a little more.
Babe, I went into battle with you.
Because that's what happens, right? Even if you don't agree with your partner and your partner starts to fight, something's going to happen.
I even called you my wife. Just because I didn't want to go into explanation. Hey, nobody tell my baby mama, fiance, girlfriend to shut up. So I just went a wife.
In my defense, I started yesterday off by letting the world know I was in a funk. And yeah, so this is what happened.
She didn't get the memo.
I'm just going to get into it because why not? Let's get into it. We took Remy to the mall to run an evening 5K because he likes to run now. So we let him run the mall. It was freezing, it was raining. And so he runs it out. And then there's actually a new restaurant at the mall that y'all had been to. And I said, let's go there. Let's try it. I wasn't really in an Italian mood. So we go to check out this new restaurant and they sit us out in the family section as you would, right? Because we have a child in a high chair and it's a nice establishment. And we sit down. Remy's so excited. He sits in the high chair. He kind of like ekes out a little bit like, ooh. This woman, there's no one in the section except a woman. I said elderly. She was not as old as the man she was with. So I do not know if that was her aging partner she's waiting on to kick the bucket or what's happening. But
you think that's the woman that he left his wife for? Like, because she seemed younger, like it was a
little bit younger. Yeah.
It was like his trophy wife back in the 60s.
Yeah.
And now it's just his wife?
Yeah, so I would say she's in her 70s or just in her 60s and hasn't aged well.
And you can see the pain in his eyes because he just didn't talk. He's like, oh man, I just have to suck it up.
I don't know if he was all there. But Remy starts, eking out a little bit like, ee! She went, oh, no. That's not happening over here. That is not okay. I'm not okay with that. Just basically lashing out from the jump. So I kind of looked at Fran. Remy was fine. Remy's well behaved, obviously. Y'all know how I am. I'm horrified if he's not. I would be like, get him out of here. And so I tried to kind of let it slide, and he started playing with Chopstick, and she's just like, she started bitching. She started bitching about kids in the restaurant, and y'all, it was not a good day for me. It was not a good day for me. If you don't know this about me, I like to tell you new things about me. I am not scared of confrontation. I don't know if that surprises anyone. I don't go seeking it out.
Yeah, the one that don't know you.
Yeah, but I'm definitely not one to just let it slide, And I don't know. It caught me. Fuck that, So I said to her, ma'am, I just went for it. I go, it's a public restaurant and we're in the family section. Oh, she just immediately kind of stopped. She called the manager over and started bitching to the manager. Then I got into it again. I heard her bitching about me going, you know what she told me? It's a family section. It's a public place. And you know what the manager said to her? Ma'am, it is a public place. We'll be happy to move you. But do you know when you get into an altercation with someone because you think that you're trying to just defend yourself or whatever, right? And then at some juncture, you realize that mental illness may be playing a factor because I kind of looked at her and not to like shame what she had on, but I mean, she was in like a t-shirt with no bra, jersey, tearaway pants, flip-flops, a baseball hat in probably the nicest restaurant in the mall. And so I kind of stopped myself and went, oh, I see. And then we learned subsequently from the wait staff, I think they had been like scamming drinks and being difficult anyway. So yeah, they ended up moving him outside. But the restaurant was great about it.
Yeah, but then she looked at she was pitching to the manager. Jada went ahead and told her side of the story. And she said, shut up. And that's when I came in. And like, nobody tells my wife to shut up. Like, literally, nobody. Haven't been able to.
I'm glad I didn't hear that. I think about this too. I had a gummy. I had microdosed a gummy. Imagine if that hadn't kicked in. Yeah. No, you said something really funny. Oh, Fran goes, would you like us to get a change of seating or for you, sir, a change of wife?
No, I said,
when I say we got into an altercation.
I can facilitate a change of seating for you guys, or I can facilitate your new wife. I know some fellow Mexicans that will be thrilled.
That was a good one, Fran. I liked that. Yeah. But the best part is when you stand up to people that are bitching like that, they tend to just back down immediately.
I almost asked him, like, blink twice if it's yes, blink once if it's no. Like, he seems submitted. Like, and I get it, I feel submitted from time to time. It's tough.
I turned to Fran, and I know Fran doesn't agree with me, and this is why we're probably in a relationship. It's not that you don't agree with me. It's that you and I are just different people. I want to say this in the best way possible, and there's no good way to say it. I just don't like people very much. Do you know what I mean? And I said to Fran, it's not that I have issues kind of one-on-one engaging with nice people. I don't mind that. I think that, oh my gosh, dealing in the service industry or working in an environment.
Well, you were telling me, yes, that you don't like people except your customers and our listeners, correct?
No, but that's not what I mean. It's not, I know you can take it and be shitty about it, but no, that's not what I mean. It's not as simple, right, to say, I hate people. In a way, sure, like I think humanity in general is just like, but what I mean by that is it's really difficult for me to kind of manage, in that scenario, a lot of people in the service industry are like, yeah, we deal with nightmare customers all the time. You just have to make them happy, that sort of thing. I think I just don't like dealing with people that on a whim, who knows what her deal is. She's obviously miserable and unhappy, hates children, don't go out in public, whatever. It's like the airplane thing when people get upset about kids on a plane. There's just this point of people that are so angry that I don't like having to deal with it because it definitely kind of affects my mood. And I just wouldn't be good in that industry anymore as an adult. The older I've gotten, just kind of having to deal with everyone else's mood. Does that make sense? On a whim that you're dealing with people. I'm sure this happens a lot when you're working in any kind of service industry like that and you have to deal with people. And I just can't. Like,
well,
I just don't want to.
I think they'd rather do that than dealing with hunger.
So these are the options?
I don't know.
I'm just saying I'm empathizing with how difficult it is. Yeah, and again, you're a people person. You deal with clients and selling stuff all the time. I don't, and I know what you mean. I do have customers and we deal with people from time to time, but I have other people deal with the difficult ones.
Yeah.
So, I learned early on with my business.
Look at that.
Oh my gosh, look how high maintenance I am.
Where's mine? I'm just kidding. Coffee list.
I got a new marketing director and a Starbucks delivery.
That's amazing. Maybe you're putting your Fitish monies to work.
Don't turn this into all these things I'm not good at. It's more about me being honest with you and myself and I'm sure other people feel the same way as me. I know now you don't turn it into this. Jenna doesn't want to talk to customers because I have a great time.
Here, quiet, looking good.
That's what you said. You're here quiet, looking good?
Yeah, that's what I'm doing, only.
Anyway, this is just, fine. You go ahead. Go ahead. Say your piece. Say your thoughts.
There is no thought. Like, it was just a normal Wednesday. Like the vibes that you're throwing today.
Well, it's Thursday, but that's great.
But yesterday was Wednesday.
Yeah.
And you have some Wednesday vibes today.
I stop doing that when I'm telling a story for content. I don't like when you do this. When we're telling a story, when we've talked about the fact that we were going to tell this story and now you're telling me I'm being feisty, this is about painting a picture and telling a story to our audience.
No. Babe, that, as I said, that See You Next Tuesday yesterday was an absolute moron. Like, she came off the bat, the kid barely screeched and she was throwing a fit. I would have maybe done exactly the same thing whether you were there or not. And I'm should have like I would have said something offensive. And maybe we would both had to leave
leave the restaurant.
The restaurant.
They were nice to us. I kind of joked to the staff. I was like, I'm sorry about the altercation, because it was the altercation heard around the restaurant, you know. Granted, there weren't that many people in there at the time, but it wasn't their fault. But no, look, ladies, this is something that you're doing right now that's bothering me, because I want to ask
What is it?
I want to ask the women listening for any empathy
quiet
here.
or they're looking good.
Okay, so do y'all ever do this? Do y'all ever start your day off and you just know you're in a funk, right? And I feel like this is the whole women versus men thing in a way, just because we do work so differently. I could tell Fran every now and then, I probably have one day a week, let's say, right? One day a week, where I'm just feeling, it has nothing to do with him. It's just that I'm in a funk or I'm stressed, or like yesterday, for instance, I was definitely feeling that way. I wouldn't say I was in a bad mood. I was just in this weird, and I expressed this to him during the day. I said, hey, I'm feeling in a kind of a funk, like kind of directionless. You know, I don't know what to do, because I felt a little overwhelmed. I had so much to do in the house, and I had been sick, and then Remy's there and he was being demanding, but I have work I need to do. And it was just kind of hard for me to gather my thoughts. So I expressed that to you. And I feel like sometimes when I'm upfront about my emotions, you know, like men will never say they're in a bad mood. They'll say they're fine. And you're like, what's wrong? What's wrong? Stop asking me. Nothing's wrong. But we want to know so we can kind of cater to that or tread very lightly. And so when I tell Fran, I'm not in a good mood, I don't want to be touched, or I'm not in a good mood, just leave me alone. They poke. And I'm like, I'm literally giving you all the tools you need to know how I'm functioning right now. And you're fucking it up.
No, so we understand how we build our family up. So how do we give the right tools to our loved ones to be outside the world? Something that I do with Remy is I help him to be frustrated and how to deal with frustration, you know? So I frustrate him purposely so he knows how to cope with frustration. Same goes to you.
The world is frustrating enough on its own without assistance.
But if you have your training frustrating wheels, you know, like if you have someone that frustrates you from time to time, that it's a simulator, a frustrating simulator.
Rewind the track. How did we start talking about Remy's frustration?
Oh, no, I'm talking
training
about
wheels,
cope. Like
when I'm talking about telling you I'm in a bad mood, and instead of
same thing.
Oh,
it's like a vaccine.
You're poking. You'll go, what's wrong?
I'm a bad mood vaccine. So you tell me you're in a bad mood, I'll go poke, just so you can cope. Okay, I'm in a bad mood. He's frustrating me. Now I need to regulate. I can go out in the world and be feisty.
And
Control.
Then you make fun of me for being feisty after you made me feisty.
I'm not making fun of you. I give you the right tools. I equip you.
It's like when people say, get you all riled up. And then, guys, this is such a dude thing, isn't it? Drives me crazy. They're all the same. They're all the same. If you're out there thinking grass is greener, it's not. Grass is not greener. We can go back to it's greener where you water it. I do agree with that. Grass isn't greener. They're all the same. You know,
There's
antagonizing. Guys, it's so typical, isn't it? Like they get you all mad and all fired up, and then they go, whoa, relax. And you're like, you got me to this point.
They don't allow anybody
I think you should slogan, emotions. I poke so you can cope.
Yeah. I'm going to buy the domain right now. I'm going to have like a new branch of therapy here.
All right. Well,
you wake up in a funk, call Frank. Funk Frank. I don't know.
Frank?
I don't know. Frank? I don't like Frank.
Frank?
I don't know.
Y'all heard it here first.
So, yeah, you know, when I become a trillionaire selling this idea to the world, like you call me, I'll poke, you cope. There we go.
I think you should flesh this out a little bit. Let's take a quick break and let Frankie work on his spiel, and we'll be right back.
No fights happened while we were on break.
Nah. I'm in a good mood today. I feel good.
Oh, good.
Yeah. Do you think my funk? I mean, I need to just ask like someone older than myself for some advice. Fran, how has being 40 felt?
Seamless, you know? I'm just carried on with the aches and pains I already had from my 30s.
Fran was limping and wincing in pain this morning from running around the mall last night with Remy.
I got planner. It's just like, I have a fine-tuned machine.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm going to do activities like yesterday, I need to have proper shoes.
I teased that I was going to like take everyone on my journey to 40 because I have these like grand plans of, I don't know, I was going to be fluentish in Spanish. Not happening.
You still have a couple of weeks.
A couple weeks, May 9th. So I have a few months, 2.5 months or so. No, I was more thinking along the lines of I've started working out again a little bit. So kind of taking a different approach to exercise. I did cheat, obviously. Well, we can say it's cheating, but I did that weight loss shot at the end of last year. And because some people have asked me questions about that. So just to recap on that. Yeah, I did. What I basically did is like a month or two of this Mounjaro, but I stretched it out over a period of time instead of taking a dose every single week. So because I found it to be very strong and made me eat next to nothing. So that first month was kind of rough, but I did lose quite a bit of weight from that. So I don't know if I should sit here and endorse it because I don't know the consequences of that. I might be a guinea pig and, maybe it will give me cancer. I'm not really sure. But then again,
Does it make you feisty?
So will everything else in our lives. That's kind of the point I got to. I mean, I did IVF and injected my body full of chemicals for a long time to have a child, and he's healthy and I'm all right. So at this point, who knows what? I feel like our food is going to make me have cancer before anything else. So does it make me feisty? We're back on that. I thought we took a quick break to kind of reset.
No,
you
okay.
just want to fucking
But you know what? I'm not. No, you already got your poking of the day. You're good, I think. I got a really good compliment from a friend the other day. He's like, you must be in Ozempic. It's like, oh, dear Lord.
You're like, no, I did this. I know, because people do say how thin you are. No, Fran did this the hard way.
Yeah, no, it's like, but I felt like a compliment. Like, oh, that's so sweet.
Mm-hmm.
Like, no. I did it cold turkey. Stop eating. With hunger. Dealt with hunger.
No, you kind of did more of the macro approach. I mean, you went with a diet plan in general, but you did high protein and now you've kind of done maintenance and you've been cheating a little bit, but you're still.
But the thing is that I think it's still the same control. Like I cheat a little, but then I go reverting to my whole counting how much I ate for everything of anything.
If y'all are curious at all, and I know women are more so about my takeaway from kind of the Mounjaro and just exercise in general, is I really believe this now after doing that. As someone that used to work out 6 days a week, I mean, obviously not in the last few years, but I used to really prioritize fitness. And when I was on the fit side of Fitish, a trainer who's very knowledgeable always used to tell me, and it would drive me crazy, Jenna, you can't out-train a bad diet. You can't out-train a bad diet. It's 80% or more. It's 80% or more. I think it is actually even more because now after having a period of time of pregnancy and eating and being really inactive, aside from chasing a kid around, just not working out as consistently, but definitely kind of lowering my caloric intake because I'm not as hungry, because I'm not working out and doing the weight loss shot. I'm telling you that it has so much more to do with food, which I know is really frustrating to hear, but if you can really find a way to not overeat, to eat more intuitively. I'm not even on some super strict diet of eating only protein, but cutting alcohol, cutting sugar, and then just really moderating kind of, how much you're eating. I think that has everything to do with it, which for someone like me that doesn't want to spend a lot of time exercising, that is just the give and the take. I don't want to spend a lot of time exercising. What else I have found that I think is really interesting is someone that I love hard workouts, weightlifting, boot camp style, sprinting, running. That kind of exercise for me is what makes me feel like I got a good workout. I have not done any of that in a while. I've actually taken this approach of trying to only do Pilates style workouts, that ballet and Pilates. I think it's changed my body in a lot of ways. I think working out, lifting weights that intensely made me bulkier. I think it made me more inflammation, which a lot of studies have come out and shown that women that tend to work out that way. I'm not saying don't do it if you love it, just don't do it as frequently, because I do love a weightlifting workout. There's something about that, I don't know, maybe growing up playing soccer, and I know a lot of women share in this, the kind of boot camp style. I'm not saying that it's terrible for you, but I think doing it multiple days a week could be making you have a lot of inflammation and maybe making you kind of bulkier. At least it did for me, because my body's changed a lot. It's not just the weight loss that I've noticed. And I'm sure I lost some muscle as well, but kind of in a good way for me, because I still have a little bit of definition. But I think it was just kind of stopping the high intensity. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
The high intensity, the overeating, and yeah. So that's just a little bit of a takeaway I have, because someone had asked me that on a Q&A. And so that's a little bit of the takeaway I have. But that's not just my journey to 40. It's not just about like kind of the physical, the fitness part of it or the diet. I think there's some other things that I would like to kind of work on, from like time management, maybe a little bit of Botox.
I'm going to start also my journey to 50.
To 50. You have a minute.
Yeah. It goes real fucking fast, though.
It does go real fast.
Like, I remember I turned 30 like yesterday.
Remy has his 2-year-old checkup today, and in a bad
2 years old.
bad mom move of the year, I'm not going to attend it because I have so much work to do. So Fran's taking it for me.
Yeah, 2 years old. It's just wild how fast things go. And how much he develops by the day. How much he understands and grasps, and
Yeah.
just crazy amazing. But yeah, like I liked your journey to 40. I like to see it. I met you when you were like what, 35?
Are we coming up on 6 years this year? Is that what it is?
Yeah,
6?
I think so.
7?
No, 6.
2018.
2018 December.
Mm-hmm. You reined the wild horse.
No. Just keep breaking ropes.
I've never been that wild. I wasn't that wild. I just, especially as we get older, I always had wanted to, I never wanted to settle down young with anyone. And I wish I could always say that, we should do an episode. Actually, we'll do that next week. Like things that I wish I knew in my 20s or even my 30s, because I really enjoyed my 30s so much. I think it's been probably one of my favorite chapters of my life, even though there was a lot of up and down. I didn't dread turning 30. I had been excited about it. It was great. And I have really enjoyed, 30s have been the most eventful decade of my life for sure, I feel. But I really enjoyed my 30s. So I always say 30s are so great. And I know women say 40s are great too, but I think whenever you hit that mile marker.
Well, I heard you had a shitty half.
Huh?
I said, I heard you have a shitty half
Of
of
what?
your 30s.
Me?
And then you got a really good other half.
Oh, no, I've enjoyed all my 30s.
All of it?
Sure, because, yeah, all of it for the most part. I mean, I definitely had moments, like I already said, of ups and downs with things. But I mean, starting my business, being super financially independent, got a car that I liked, moments, real selfish, independent, not selfish, but independent moments that were really cool moments for me in my life. No, I really enjoyed it.
I think like 30 is when you become like a real adult. So 30 is your like adolescent adulthood. Like you're trying to figure out your shit. You passed your 20s, which I think your 20s is like your training wheels.
Hated them. I kind of hated my 20s.
I absolutely I think I had a really good 20s experience.
Yeah. No,
But
I'm just speaking about mine.
you feel that you're invincible. You feel that there is no mountain you cannot climb.
I did
Because
not
even
have.
if you fall,
I didn't have the same
it's not
experience.
going to be like that hard, Like you
You
can
feel
fall
that there's
and you
more-
can fall and you can fall and you can just dust it off and go back on your feet. Right now, if you fall, you break.
I think that's my issue as we get older. You start to have these moments of, this is, my life's kind of half, it's kind of the halfway of my life. And that's wonderful. And I'm really happy. But I think that is the thing, right? That you go, wow, you can't make as big of life changes sometimes anymore. I think when you're in your 20s, oh, I want to start a business and fail. I want to quit my job and do this. Oh, I could still be a professional at this. And so as you get older, I think you do start to kind of feel the darkening around you in a way of, am I where I want to be? And now I'm 40. I mean, do I have kind of the level of income I want at this age? But I do recognize when we talk about this openly, everyone kind of feels the same way. We still don't always feel like we have it all figured out. And, but yeah, I think also kind of having a kid later and just kind of having this chapter as we're 40, and then all these other parents we meet are like 10 years younger than us at the same age we are, or at the same, level of child.
And it's just so funny because you see it like, and sometimes like I was at a dinner 2 weeks ago with this kid, 24 years old. He has an amazing condo at the Porsche Tower in Miami, multiple Ferraris.
He's like a coder, right? That you met?
So he's a software engineer that he does multiple things in his life that has been very successful.
Let me set the stage before you tell your story. So Fran with his condos in Austin, the car condos, there are so many cool opportunities at the track. So he's been spending a lot of weekends down there, wheeling and dealing as you would when you're selling condos. But he's meeting such cool people because Ferrari, they do these tours around the world where people that are clients or potential clients can spend a large chunk of money, but they get to do these professional racing experiences. So they get wined and dined for like 2 or 3 days, dinners and track with, the experts, and they get to drive cars that are unreleased. And
the people that the trainers are professional awarded pilots.
So they get this experience. Anyway, so Fran's been getting to attend these dinners and go to the events on the track. Obviously, these are great clients for you, but you're meeting a whole range of people, from obviously a lot of older, really successful kind of retired guys that love Ferraris and cars, but then a 24-year-old guy who is just super rich and super successful.
But the thing is that what I was going to with this is like, it's that age that like you're there, you don't know. And even with all the success, it was so funny. And this might be controversial and will be controversial. Like we were in a table, we were another maybe 4 or 5 guys besides him and his fiance, because he's about to get married. And everybody, when he mentioned that, is like, well, he was telling all his story, what he does. And then he said, and I have a fiance, I'm about to get married. It's like, oh man. That's when you realize that it's like, oh, and like everybody was like, holy shit. Like the same thought went through everybody's. And in that table, there was no unsuccessful guy. Like everybody had, and everybody in that table was an industry leader of its industry. So they were like, what I would do to be that successful at that age, one thing I would not be doing anyhow.
But do you know what I love about a 24-year-old that does want to settle down like that? It shows that he probably had a nice upbringing, that he even has the desire to commit. Because a lesson I was going to say that I learned in my 30s, and it took me until I was in my 30s to learn this lesson, is when I started dating men that were in their late 30s and had never been engaged or married, it was a super red flag. And I didn't want to think that way because here I was, 35, never married. But I found that with a lot of men, that if they had never had at least a long-term, 5-year, long-term, you get it, a long-term relationship with some level of commitment intended, they were the problem. And so I think a lot of times women, when you're in your 20s and 30s and you meet a guy that may have been married, or maybe he has a child, or he was engaged and it got broken off, please don't look at that as a red flag. I actually look at that now as what a great sign of their ability to commit. And sure, I'd love to know why it didn't work out. That's a whole nother story. But I think there is an element there. And you see a lot of single moms now that are able to find love again. And I think a lot of women, when you're single and you go through a divorce and you have a child and you go, oh my gosh, how am I ever going to meet someone? And I have a kid. I actually think that there's a great potential for a great partner, you know, when you do meet the right person, because they know, you know, maybe they have a kid also. And then you kind of have that in common and, you know, they're able to be a good dad and commit and do all of that. So anyway, I just like to say that because I know what you mean, and it may not work out forever.
And I'm not saying it's wrong or it's right. No one to say that. It was just a common opinion. Is like, oh man, what I would do with all that freedom, and he's just putting it back in a lot.
What is freedom? You know, at some point, you know, I think all the money in the world and all the freedom, but if you don't have people to share it with and love and like that security,
100%. I'm not swaying one way or another. I'm just sharing the popular opinion of the table. It was just like, that's the age. Goes back to my idea of that. That's the age that you have to fuck up. Even like, I'm not saying that they're gonna fuck up. They could last forever. My mom was 18 when she got married.
How old were you when you got married?
I was maybe 25. So, but yet,
I just wanted to make sure we addressed that.
I've been there and done that.
How long did that marriage last?
Not too much. Not too long. So
enough to get here.
Yeah, and what it's crazy about it is that is the age we all had to fuck up. So if it goes well, great. As I said, my parents got married. My mom was 18, and they are still.
Yeah, if I had gotten married at 24, I wouldn't still be with whoever that was.
But if you get married when you were 24, you still have 34, 44 to get married again. 54, it's a stretch.
Or, friend, sometimes people meet and really have a connection. And also there's that element of, look how successful he is. What if he had been with her as he was building this? That's a bond that's hard to break. But I'm just saying, you know, sometimes people meet, and I think that is great.
Because that's something very important. Like if you met in
Well, friend, what do you want him to do with his life then? What do you want? You're saying no, interjecting as I'm just giving an opinion. What do you want him to do with a life that's not yours?
I'm not saying what he needs to do or not do. I'm just putting out there, what are your 20s for? I want him to do whatever he's doing.
But the thing is, my 20s weren't for fucking up. Like you say, you were like drunk fucking everything that breathes, no matter the age. And I didn't live that way in my 20s. My 20s weren't about fucking up. My 20s were about like, I got an incredible radio job that I had to take very seriously when all my friends were just doing jobs and getting fucked up, because that is what a lot of people do. But I had this opportunity to grow into something. So now I can live a life that I really wanted to live, which is not having that kind of job every day. And so for me, I took my 20s differently. You know, I didn't use it as a time to fuck up, you know?
Yeah.
I used it as a time to try and grow a platform and a business. So I think not everyone, especially someone that is 24 and a multimillionaire from coding on their computer all the time, they probably have a little bit of a different mindset about life.
100%, but it doesn't matter. What I'm trying to say, it is like irrelevant, because he's in his 20s. If it works out, great. If it doesn't work out, great. Hopefully he gets a good lawyer.
Yeah, for sure.
But that's the time you have to do this at that's the time you have to do this at the scale that your abilities get you. That's all.
Did you tell him your thoughts and opinions on his life?
100% not.
Yeah.
Well, we had the time, like we chatted. Like I of course I was very intrigued about his success. Like I was intrigued about what he's done and how he did it. He started his emporium when he was 12.
That's crazy.
So he's for sure gifted.
And so cool, right? Well, for sure gifted, obviously. I think anyone that kind of gravitates towards that, it's so great. But I think that's so cool to kind of encourage. Going back to school too, Fran and I are in such a dilemma with school. A dilemma as in we just don't know. It's infuriating to me how difficult it is to find a school. I don't know if all of you deal with this. I've gotten a lot of messages from parents about how you've toured some preschools and you just haven't been happy and you don't know. And I just say, you are going to know in your gut if you like it. Now, getting into it, this is like a sorority match at some point, because a school that we were pretty certain we were going to get into because we have family members there, we're waitlisted and they say they don't know. And then if he doesn't get in the next couple of weeks, he actually is not able to go there in the fall because he misses this age cutoff. It's very confusing how this works. And so he wouldn't be able to go until the next year. And at that point, we're not going to do it. It's also one of the more expensive ones on the list. And then we had declined a school he got into because it was only 2 days a week. And we thought we were going to go to this other one and we weren't sure. And now that's probably a loss, right? Because then that's full and you don't want to spend a bunch of money on a deposit if you're just not sure about it yet.
I think it's...
And now another school we've heard is impossible to get into, but I got him into a week-long camp this summer. And they said, is it for observation for school? And I said, sure, if there's spots available. And they go, well, he has to come be dropped off next week for visitation alone. And we've never dropped him off anywhere alone. I don't know how that's going to go. He's going to poop his pants. Literally, that's what they do now, right? Like he's just going to poop.
Well, I think it's nerve-wracking.
A lot of parents told me about another camp that's nearby that a lot of kids go to. They have a lot of great camps over the summer.
When it comes to that, I go without words.
The camp list came out. So I called. Yeah, Fran doesn't understand any of this. He doesn't understand the silent, what is it called? What do we call this when you have to do all of this? Like he doesn't understand that it takes me like a day of, and that's some days why I do get feisty because you don't understand the whole like making of all of these appointments and like communicating with the schools and trying to make sure all of the different portals are so different. It's just a lot, It makes me think so much about kind of the role of the stay-at-home mom because I do feel that that's something I dabble in some days, and I think that it is such I know they say this all the time and no one listens. It's an 80, 90 hour a week job. If you're really doing all the stay-at-home mom, the cleaning and the cooking and the school and all of it, it really is. It's so much work. And I'm going to say this. I never thought I would feel this way, but I never before becoming a parent could have envisioned myself like wanting to be a stay-at-home mom. I always thought no way. Like, I can't do that. It's too mind numbing. I need something else. I need to work also. And I still like working, but what a dream to be in a situation that you can be a stay-at-home mom and not have to work, and difficult. Obviously, I'm not saying that it's easy, but I understand now why so many women do quit their job if your whole job is going to childcare.
Being instrumental in the developing of another human being
it's
that
a big
you
responsibility.
Can call your own, even though it's not, because we don't know him.
Yeah.
And it's just amazing. And the fact is that if you're as passionate as we are seeing him grow, that is the most important work we have. Like there's nothing like the other things is just to be able to support being with him, which is just start.
Yeah, you just want time. I can't understand why though, and maybe someone can explain it to me, why we get caught up in this whole school pressure, because I didn't go to school until
I don't know if I agree with you, but why do we get caught up in that pressure?
I didn't go to school until I was in kindergarten. And Fran and I have talked about that. We didn't really go to school. I mean, I had some after, I don't know, my mom told me, I had some like daycare programs sometimes I was in, but I didn't actually go to school, and it was a public school at that until kindergarten, full day. And I turned out fine academically. I tested really well. I did great on my SAT. I mean, throughout school, like I just don't think this whole pressure. So I stop and ask myself, I mean, kids can grow up on an island and learn and explore every day. And I think I just feel underqualified, or my mom and I talk about it. I don't feel like I could never be the homeschool parent, but I know that's trending now. I mean, a lot of people are doing that. And I feel that I don't know how to educate him. I think that's, you start getting caught up in that, right? Like, is he learning Remy's smart, but is he learning everything he should be learning? Should we be teaching him to read? Should we be potty training him right now? Should we be doing all these things?
Like, he created a school for his kids.
Yeah. What does that have to do with it?
Like, it's so important that he didn't want to leave that to chance or to someone that
I don't think that's why he did it. I think it's not because, yes, it's so important, but I think he's realizing the lack of certain types of education that are happening. Do you know what I mean? In the school system these days, because it's all geared towards testing and certain things that they're not always teaching kids coding.
Correct.
When they're 12, or how to be an entrepreneur and run a business, and or how to do AI are the things that are going to matter, right? No, I'm just saying, I think sometimes I'm guilty of this. This is what I'm talking about openly. Like, it's a therapy session. I'm guilty of, I get caught up in he has to go to school. But at the end of the day, for me, I think it's more about the childcare aspect of it, right? Like, you want to make sure they're in a good place where they are learning and they're safe, less than it is right now about education.
Yeah, it's just about learning how the basis of being a human. Like, something I love about one of the options that we have is that all the kids that I know that have came out of that school are well educated, well mannered. Not well educated. I don't know if they're well educated, but they're well mannered. They're
Polite.
polite. They are caring adults.
Mm-hmm.
And that's something that is the most important thing. I don't care if he wants to become an astronaut or he wants to become a sculptor. Like, what matters to me is that he's a kind,
I think the life of a sculptor could be difficult.
like, well-mannered adult.
Mm-hmm.
If he wants to be a sculptor, I'm pretty sure he'll be an amazing one.
What do y'all do when your child is gravitating towards baseball, but you don't like baseball and you want them to use their feet instead of throwing? Can we encourage not baseball? I don't like baseball. Okay.
Babe, baseball will be one of the best sports that he could have. Less like you see people going through baseball for 30 years.
So you're talking in terms of like career longevity.
Yeah.
Hey, it's a lot of games. Those games are long. It's a lot of long
I'll
weekends.
watch them all.
I've just never liked baseball.
I don't love baseball, but I'd much rather him playing baseball than a high impact where he's going to.
The good news is Grandma Candy had him watching so much football that every time he throws a ball, he says football. So he thinks he's played football, which we also don't really want him playing football.
I'd much rather playing baseball.
Yeah.
Golf will be the dream, you know?
Golf?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I think we need to encourage it, right?
I bought him some golf clubs.
You did?
Yes.
Where are they?
Well, all over the house. I'm pretty sure they already went through the cycle of toys in the house.
Well, I have seen parents that get a little carried away and they make their child go in the backyard and, we do have a soccer goal, kick the ball, do all this, and I don't really want it to be at that level, but I feel like if you show them.
This is not like a Russian camp here.
Careful. They're listening.
They will feel flattered out of it. That's no insult to a Russian family.
Yeah. A small Russian gymnast.
Yeah.
No, he can compete. He's of age. All right. Well, good luck at the doctor today.
Thanks.
Let me know how things go. I know I shouldn't even say that aloud. That's shameful that I'm not attending the appointment. But I have a lot of work, and this is the
just
dilemma.
don't want him to familiarize you with the shot that he's about to get today.
Oh bullshit, Fran! I'm the one that has to hold him down every time because you're weeping in the corner like the little girl in The Ring. You're standing in the corner like I'm like you're not there.
No. I am there supporting him emotionally.
Like, I'm the one that has to hold his legs down for the shots, and then Fran gets to be the savior and pick him up and be like, it's okay. So yeah, I'm not
sorry,
going today.
Mama
So
allowed that to happen.
Yeah, so you're going to have to be alone in it today. No, that's not why I'm not going. It's that these are those days where this is a day I have like my entire staff in the office, and I know how this is going to go. If I leave for that appointment and then I have a lunch meeting, I'm not even going to be here the rest of the day. And I think these are those hard days of decisions where I keep going back to, and I try to stick with it, even though I say it to y'all. When you're a working mom, I think some days it's like you just have to work and some days you have to mom, and it's really hard. There's no balance there. You just can't really find the in-between. And then you just have to deal with the guilt of it and make up for it, maybe tomorrow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, but the guilt, don't let it creep in.
Okay, tips for turning 40 for those of you that are slightly older than me. I would love to hear it. Vitamins. Yeah. Well, I mean, I do. I'm pretty regular with my rituals.
Yes.
Yeah. But aside from that, I would love to hear your tips, info@fitish.com, or DM us, and we will catch you next week. Bye.